I love to be proven wrong. I was skeptical, but the Dead Space remake is pretty awesome. I've been playing it for a while now. And what I do here, I see like a lot of you guys, if you're new here, what I do is I do the before you buy video on Game Ranks, the full in-depth video. And when I have a moment, if there's something I specifically want to talk about or a game I really love, if I have time, I break it down here. And Dead Space was exactly that game because I finished playing it for review. I stay up until 4 o'clock in the morning playing it and immediately jumped into New Game Plus mode, which I think says a lot, just how much I know I love a game, especially like a survival horror type game or game with New Game Plus, when I immediately jump in right after I finish it, no matter how late it is. I mean, we talk about remakes and stuff all the time here. Why do we have so many remakes? What are they really accomplishing? Why don't we focus on new stuff? We've had back and forth like that in the comments and stuff like that. But with Dead Space specifically, I just didn't feel like it necessarily needed a remake. I thought it was a pretty solid game. Thought it held up pretty much somewhat. And this game kind of kicked me in the ass and showed me like, no, there's reason enough for a remake. I am going to steal my words specifically from the Before You Buy, where this is like a not complete remake, but a smart remake. And I think like the hardcore fans of Dead Space, like the people who really know the ins and outs of the lore or replayed the first game a million times, are going to really appreciate what they changed. Characters get cooler deaths. Things are kind of just a little crazier. They fixed a couple of screwed up points. The turret section, yes. It's all just thoughtful stuff. Nothing is obnoxious, but all the changes are good. I almost want to compare it to the Resident Evil 1 remake. I know there's some differences, but just in the sense that it is a complete graphics-focused, atmospheric overhaul, but with things sprinkled here and there, change-ups and additions that just kind of improve the experience. A lot of people argue that the Resident Evil 1 remake has cooler stuff in it. I think I would almost lean to that. And the Dead Space remake has puzzles and just moments and scenes that are just better now. Like, this is a better game. So like what I will at the very least say, I know some people are probably like, oh, I don't know, it's $70. It's just like a 15-year-old game again with new graphics. I get that, but I will definitely say if you've never played Dead Space, like this is a good way to jump in. This is just like a thrilling ass video game experience. It is a sci-fi horror game, very much of the 2000s. Like, so it's just kind of crazy and ridiculous, but in a good way. And it's cleaned up a bit. And by cleaned up, I don't mean like they get rid of some things. I mean like they add additional context to things. They make some things cooler, a little bit more exciting. And it just really worked. I could not put it down. I know that's such like a corny phrase, like I couldn't put it down, but I really couldn't. And it's a breath of fresh air, especially after just coming hot off of dumping a bunch of hours into Forspoken for Before You Buy. Playing the Dead Space remake in between all of that kind of kept me alive. I made sure to do my homework just 2 weeks ago. I jumped into the original Dead Space just to kind of be well versed on it. And the biggest thing for me really was the environmental stuff here. It's changed where there's a little bit more to do. There's actually a little bit of a setup or an emphasis on some optional backtracking if you want, and some side quests that actually integrate well. They don't feel like they're made up and thrown in the game. I think that some people, if you haven't replayed Dead Space in a long time, you're not even going to realize some of this stuff is new. They did that good of a job just kind of slotting stuff in, and that's impressive. Like, think about how much of an undertaking that is. Taking a game that has a big hit status, huge fan base, that then EA kind of ran it into the ground, and now they're bringing it back and they're asking for our money again. Okay, yeah, that aside. But think of the studio motive taking on a game that was that beloved and that, like how I had considered, pretty rock solid, and totally confidently adding to it, tweaking to it, and making it better. That's big dick energy right there. Do people still say that? I don't know, but where was I? The environments and stuff, right? So it's not like, it doesn't feel like a early 2000s, like mid to like Xbox 360, PS3 game where everything's drab or like lame textures. It's all super duper detailed. I played the game like really dark, so the shadows and the lighting were perfect. It's actually scary. It's actually atmospheric. When light shines through a window or light from a neon sign kind of echoes through like a foggy area, it really is like holy shit worthy. But it's all the other stuff. Like it feels like a lived-in place. There's stuff everywhere. It's a complete mess. The design team also like really doubled down on the whole writing things on the walls. Like you saw it a lot in the original Dead Space, but now here there are hidden messages and weird things scribbled on walls everywhere. It really kind of makes for like, it's fun to like look around and see Easter eggs and funny stuff written, but it's also kind of unsettling, especially once the game starts to dive more into like the creepier, cultier type stuff. It still is a game from many years ago. There's some enemy types that were fucking annoying then, that are still annoying. There's also like a couple of sequences, at least for me, and I said this in the before you buy, but like the section towards the end just kind of, it felt like filler then, and it still kind of feels like filler now. It just kind of feels like old, and it's like, come on. But the fact that they added in stuff, like I still like the confidence and like the way they pulled it off, like giving Isaac a voice. Now, I know it seems like a no-brainer, right? Filling in the blanks. Like, oh, Dead Space 2, 3, Isaac speaks. So why not let him speak in 1? But like, think about the way the game is structured and think about the way everything goes down. It's all built around just a guy doing things and radio and exposition given to you. Now, through clever writing, in my opinion, they did it like where Isaac has some actual agency. He's not a dope, or he's not just doing things and you were the player are like, okay, let's see what happens here. A lot of it is him figuring things out. This is an Isaac who is an engineer. That's his whole thing. And he really convincingly feels like one here. He's applying his knowledge of these ships and actively using it to his advantage. Characters are like, how are we going to set off a radio beacon? And then Isaac's like, oh, well, if we go through this chamber and access and bypass these doors and do this, it's cool. That works. And I think they could have really screwed that up. That could have went so wrong, and it didn't. Gunnar Wright specifically, they use his full likeness this time. Like it's just his face straight up as Isaac. He looks really good. His performance is really good. He's a pretty simple guy, pretty likable guy, a determined guy. I actually think Nicole's voice actor, I didn't think her voice acting was that great in the original game. And here they kind of do like the same thing with it. I thought they could have beefed up the Isaac Nicole aspects a little bit more, but thankfully there are sprinklings of it. Like I said, through mentions, like I mentioned before, like the side quests and little things here and there. I'm also predisposed to like these types of games. I just like haunted houses. That's what I call these games. This game, more than the original, has more unpredictable scares and just random things that can pop up and just really change things up and throw a wrench in whatever you're doing. The game can punish you and beat your ass. It is nice that there is now a little bit more incentive for backtracking, right? But like the game very much is like, yeah, you can go unlock that door from earlier in the game now and go get some ammo and stuff, but like we're gonna make you use your ammo on the way there. Like I like that challenge. This game then and now, just as like a reflection, is a really, really good combination of two things. Like I was starting to say, was like my favorite thing is just walking down scary hallways, haunted house style, things pop up, you're tense, your gun is at the ready. I love that style, that experience in games. But then also going crazy with gore and letting you unleash here and there. Like this game to me, it's built on two things: survival horror stuff and the Ridley get away from her, you bitch type moments. Like I love in this game taking flamethrowers to enemies, even like the weapons that aren't suited for the right enemies. Sometimes I like just using them because it feels so fun to just unload into enemies. That build up, that, you know, saving your ammo, hoarding your stuff, and then finally having the right moment to go, okay, yeah, this is when I'm going to use this. The game just keeps throwing that at you. It's really good, and it reminds me of when Dead Space first dropped. I remember there was a demo back when demos were way more of a regular thing. And I remember jumping into the demo and just it being ultra claustrophobic, hallway driven, slow and plodding with Isaac's thick, chunky chunk armor and the sound of him just breathing and the stress and the tension of that and the kick-ass music, which carries over to the new one, of course, from the like the rolling drums, like that is reminiscent of like The Shining. That like there's so much. But just like seeing that back in the day and finishing the demo, and I think in the demo, like a necromorph just pops out and like rips you to shreds. And it's like, oh, wow, this is like Even then, it was like, oh wow, like a new Resident Evil style game. Haven't seen a lot of these. And this one is crazy and edgy and gory. That was really cool. And now I think like this new version, like with it being darker, more atmospheric, absolutely gorgeous, really good soundscapes, sound design with headphones and stuff, and just being totally immersive. I think people are going to dig this. And I think like if you didn't play it back in the, like if you didn't have that same experience I did, I actually think you could have that experience now. Not to like overly shill for the game, but like, yeah. And I really think like this is a good remake. I think a lot of people are saying it. I think this is like a good way to remake things. I like it. I think it's a good example. I think people are going to point to it. So if you're on the anti-remake train, I'm sorry, this might set another trend, but what I can say is that there's three approaches. There's one where it's straight remake, untouched, fine, just with better graphics. All right, cool. Then there's this, where it's a remake with gentle additions. And then there's just ones that just go and completely change things up, change tones, change moments. I still wonder how far Resident Evil 4 is going to go. And that can either piss people off or delight and surprise people. I think all the remake stuff, it can be very nuanced, and Dead Space is definitely an interesting example. Just for the game to be so aware of like what to change, what to fix, what to overhaul, like it didn't overstep anything. It was like it was designed by committee, but committee of players, where people were like, that section sucked. Why is it like that? Okay, it's either not here, which they didn't really get rid of a lot, but they improved. And while it feels super samey to the original, just darker and grittier, like if you were to watch like a Let's Play, like two of them side by side, they end up being pretty different in some pretty significant spots. I think I'm kind of talking in circles by now, but like I just think it was a tall order, and I'm really impressed. EA, obviously, people are skeptical of them for a reason, but Motive does some decent work, and I think they really proved themselves here with this, considering, like I said, how challenging this type of thing can be, this beloved survival horror thing. I am always going to be pro survival horror, and I'm happy that this seemingly is being received well. I played a review copy, so this is going out when people are just starting to play it, but I think you're going to be happy. It is like a perfect action survival horror game where like it absolutely warrants itself to be replayed multiple times. That's the charm. I talked about that with Resident Evil 2 specifically. And although it's not perfect, like I still wish there were more enemy types and, you know, things here and there. I wish this version had a photo mode. It does not at launch. Still, it's a pretty damn good thing. And I think you should play it one time or another. But you got other games on the radar. A lot of games just dropped. A lot of games are coming. Like I said, I don't even have time to talk about all of them here. But at some point, I think you should get to this one. I'm also biased because I just like these types of games. I can't help it. That's where I'm at with Dead Space. Just kind of wanted to ramble off some of my favorite things about it and how I think they nailed it. But I want to know what you guys think. Chances are, if you were really excited for this and you jumped in day one, you're getting your hands on it now. Are you happy? Are you sad? Is there a little thing that they changed, or is there something added in or missing that you want to talk about? I'm looking forward to seeing like the hardcore fans break down every single little change, because there is a lot, but it's like a lot of small things that add up to, you know, something significant. Again, I think just really smart moves on the developers' part overall. But like, again, let's wrap this up. Let me know what you guys think. I gotta get to a bunch more games. Xbox just shadow dropped like a new Tango Gameworks game, Hi-Fi Rush, out of nowhere, so I'm gonna jump on that. Also trying to bring back videos about movies on this channel, so let me know if you're still into that. But hey, thank you guys for watching me ramble. If you like what I'm trying to do here on the internet, I'm just talking about stuff I love. Clicking the like button helps me out. I appreciate that. But I'm Jake Baldino. Thanks for watching. Subscribe because video games, pizza's on me.